Hey everybody, what's up? This is kind of a different episode. We're going to be doing a couple Euro mounts in this one, but we are going to be doing the lazy man's method. So if you don't know what that is, the lazy man's method is basically you're taking your Euro mounts, going out in the backyard, burying them, and leaving them there for a year. So we're going to start that process today, and then we're going to have an update video in about a year showing how it's going. First, we got to grab the deer. So here's one. I'll put the clip of this guy right here. I'm shaking. I killed him. Holy shit, I killed him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alrighty, now that we got this guy, we gotta grab two more. So these other two are not my deer, they're my grandpa's deer. He got them, one during rifle season and the other one during bow season. So this other one that we're gonna grab that's been in the back of my truck for God knows how long. This one isn't exactly a full Euro mount, it's just the antlers at the base plate. So yeah, I'll show you guys that. That's what we're talking about, so we're gonna grab that. And then we got another one over on the side. Okay, let's go grab the third one. So the third one I got yesterday, and this is the reason we're doing it today. Ground's thawed, so digging a hole isn't gonna be nearly as hard as it was gonna be a couple days ago. And we have this guy sitting in a bucket down there. Big fat 6-point. I believe that this is a 6-point. Oh, that's a really sorry that is shot. But yeah, I'll show you guys the antlers, all the antlers up close once we get out there. Okay, so here's what we're dealing with. We got this little 5-point right here that was shot with a bow. Here's my 3-point from this year. Little guy, I've done a little bit of work on this, and then I got this guy yesterday. I haven't actually seen this one in person yet, so we're gonna take a look at this. This guy was shot during rifle season. That's a pretty good deer right there. I mean, that's some pretty good mass for a 6-point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one doesn't really count as a point right there. So I would actually classify that more as a 7-point than I would a 6-point. But you know, so we're gonna go grab a shovel and then I'll go through and we'll look at these a little more. So for obvious reasons, wow, that is bad lighting. For obvious reasons, one thing you're gonna want is a shovel and then any buckets if you have any. I gotta go check my other garage for buckets or the other shed. But basically the antlers are going to be sticking out of the ground so you know where they are, and you just want to cover them with a bucket or something else so that they don't get bleached by the sun. It really has nothing to do with the Euro mounts, but this is our new canoe. This canoe we're going to be using probably this summer a lot for fishing up videos. We're going to have some rabbit coming soon, some rabbit videos, and probably some pheasant hunting videos coming soon, as well as when our lakes start freezing over, some ice fishing. So stay tuned, we're going to have a variety of new content coming now that deer season is over. I might go out for late doe though, not sure, so stay tuned. So now that we got the first hole dug, this is going to be the one we're going to put in there. This one I've done a little bit of work on. I'm not even in there. So this guy I've done a little bit of work on. He's actually a really good, decent sized 3-point, and we're gonna bury him kind of past the first brow tines. Well, he doesn't really have any brow tines, but we're gonna kind of bury him there. And I mean, he's been in the freezer for a good while. I mean, he still has a good chunk of meat on him. So we're gonna bury him. He's gonna be the first guy, and we get to check on this guy in about a year. So this is going to be our second guy going in. I mean, you guys can see how much mass he really has up there. This was a public land deer my grandpa shot. I mean, you guys can see he still got his eyes intact. Very fresh, coming out of the thing. I would actually more class this guy as like a 7-point. I feel like that was right there. That counts as 2. I feel like that's not quite 2, but it's close. Yeah, so the story with this guy, my grandpa was out on public land, and he was actually watching this guy run chasing does, and he was going to shoot a bigger deer that was about 12 points, but there was too much swale and stuff, and he couldn't get a good shot. So this guy came within perfect range, so my grandpa shot him. However, his scope was a bit off and ended up clipping a tree. Well, he shot at this guy, so the bullet did swerve, and it hit him. It got a pretty good gut shot on this guy. And my grandpa, it was too dark that night to even track the deer, so I had to let it be, and he came back the next day. He was looking around, couldn't find the deer, and he ran into another hunter who yelled at him to get out of his spot. It's public land. My grandpa was like, okay, and he turned around, he thought he lost the deer, turned around, walked 200 yards, and this guy was laying right there dead in the grass. So this is my grandpa's deer. He's letting me keep it. My grandpa doesn't do mounts and stuff, so I get to keep this guy. And I'm actually going to try to fit him in the same hole, because the hole I dug was pretty big. So we're going to try to throw this guy in the same hole, and get it. Alright, so the bucket doesn't quite fit on him, so what I'm thinking is I might have to grab a tarp or something and throw it over the top of these guys once they're done. We're really close to getting it fit over, but we're going to focus on digging the second one now. So this next deer, this is my grandfather's, another of my grandpa's deer. This is actually the first time he's ever gotten 2 bucks in a season in his entire life. He's been hunting for 40-some years, and this is the first time he's ever gotten 2 bucks. So he's really proud of these. As I said, he doesn't really want to keep the antlers. He doesn't have a reason for it. He told me that they're mine, and they're mine now. So the story with this guy. This is a little 5-point. Take a look at that guy. So the story with this guy is 2 years ago, the place where I got my big 6-point buck, we're on the same property. This guy was letting us hunt there, and my grandpa, he's like, I told my grandpa, I can't go out with you, you know, I got a funeral to go to, go. And so my grandpa did. He went out, and he was bow hunting, and his crossbow was actually broken. So the stock on his crossbow had broken off, manufacturing error, and the manufacturer refused to fix it for him. So he went out without a stock, and he's trying to shoot this because he doesn't want to buy a new one. He just want to go through and replace them. He wasn't expecting to get anything. He shot with my cousin. My cousin, right before my grandpa was about to climb out of his blind, my cousin texted him, "Stan, you're blind. Buck's coming your way." My grandpa stayed, and this guy came tromping through. My grandpa shot this guy at 20-some yards from a tree stand. However, because the stock was broken, he wasn't able to hold it securely, and so when it shot, he missed, clipped the lungs of this guy. He still got a long shot, but he just barely clipped him, and this guy ran a good 40-50 yards before he dropped. And it was getting to be right before dark, and so my grandpa, my cousin were searching and searching and searching for this guy. My grandpa's like, it's too late, we got to go. And they pulled out, and the next morning they went in and looked for him, and they were expecting, you know, my grandpa wasn't very confident with his shot. He's like, I don't know if I killed him, probably just got gut shot, wounded him. He had actually run 40 yards but looped back. It was on the other side of my grandpa's tree stand, and he was dead right there. So he was like 10 yards from the tree stand. My grandpa didn't see him last night, and I mean, they had found him, and my grandpa laughed. He's like, we spent a half hour searching, we didn't even look by the tree stand. Like, you wouldn't have thought that. So this is this guy, and because this guy, he doesn't have the whole skull plate or the whole face, he just has a skull plate. We're just gonna bury him as is. We had to dig a shallower hole for him, and for these guys, the bucket didn't quite fit over him, so we're gonna get a tarp or something. So we're gonna throw this guy in there, and we're basically done. We'll be back in here. Okay. Because I went over the story of my 2 grandpa's bucks and didn't go over the story of my own, we're gonna tell that story real quick. So that little 3-point, the first one we put in, I got that the first day of bow season. So the day before bow season, we were out goose hunting, and we didn't have good luck. And I was kind of, by the time bow season, the first day rolled around, I was like, I don't really want to go out. I mean, I'm probably not going to see anything. Hunting a brand new property. It's like, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to have good luck. So I went out there with my crossbow, and I kind of decided to pick this spot right next to some water. And it was hot that day. It was really hot. And I remember sitting there and I got mosquitoes biting me, and the sun had just come up. And when I walked out there, there was a deer right by the water that spooked back in the water. It was a doe. So I'm sitting there, and I've probably been sitting there for 15 minutes, and I've been just scrolling through Instagram, and I'm not watching because I'm like, first day of bow season. I'm not really feeling it. Don't really want to be out here, but I am. And then I hear something. I look up. A deer runs right by me. It's a 3-point. I'm like, oh my god. I kind of sit there, and I'm sitting on the ground. I'm not in a blind or anything. And I just kind of put my bow is already up, so I just kind of watch, and he runs right to the edge of the woods, and he's about to go in. Now, on the other side of these woods, inside the woods, my grandpa and my cousin are sitting, and they're waiting for a deer to come through. And he was going to head right towards him, and I'm like, this is my deer. Like, it's my deer. And I go, I bleed at him, and he stops, and he turns, and he's about to walk back in, and I bleed again, and that time he turns broadside, and I got my scope on him, and I waste no time, shoot him, hits him right, straight heart, straight lung, takes off running. He goes 20 yards. This 20 yards though, my grandpa and my cousin were sitting about 20 yards into the woods, and so they look up and they hear this deer come crashing through, and a buck, and my cousin gets her crossbow up. She's ready to shoot. He drops dead. It was my deer. And I remember I was so goddamn excited. I had a whole video to that. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. That was an awesome time. And that was my last deer for the season. So yeah. So we're going to find a tarp for these guys. We're going to cover them up. So it's not pretty, but we got it done, and we're gonna check back in these in about a year.